All right, there we go. All right, thank you. So you've been around Huskies a lot in your life, wolf
Yeah.
hybrids, the whole nine.
Yeah, and my mom had got one a couple years ago that was crazy hyper, and in comparison, he is about as calm of a like husky wolf dog style dog I've ever encountered. So that's been really nice. So,
Yeah.
but still, the standard spazzing out and running around still happens though.
The puppy zooms is what we call those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
He's only 3.5 months right now.
Okay. Perfect. You're right on the cusp of really when training age really starts. I mean, we can start some minimal things at this point, but right around that 4-month point, they're physically, mentally, and emotionally able to start really taking in complex ideas and thoughts. And usually they get enough size, energy, and effort to where you have to do something at that point. They don't give you a whole lot of choice. So that's excellent. It's prime training age. Have you done some training already a little bit, like working on sit or down or food?
Yeah.
So he does sit and he's good at down and paw and stuff inside the house. But we haven't really worked on it outside. He's so I talked to you this I said this in email, but when we like go by another dog or another people or another person or something, he just sits down and he's not very like he's just really cautious and kind of afraid. But he'll actually like square up to them as they like pass by. He'll shift his body and just watch them and then just go on. But he never barks or gets aggressive or anything like that. So
is he sitting, you said, or is he standing up kind of chest out?
No, he's sitting.
He'll sit.
He just sits and kind of watches them go by.
He's just super observant and attentive.
So if I'm him, when he sits down, wherever he's standing, here comes the dog, does he just sit right down where he is, or does he start backing up? Does he try to
go up on like a higher ground if he can?
Yeah, he'll kind of like jump off into the grass and then just sit and just kind of watch him go by and make sure everything's okay, and then he'll continue. All right, let's go. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, he's back to his chipper mood.
I actually don't mind that behavior because some people are scared of bigger husky type dogs.
Yeah. So that's actually intriguing, and it's nice because it doesn't sound like he's got an overreaction either way, but he is observant. And so that observation I like, but that also tells me we've probably got a high intellect, which is good and bad.
Yeah.
The thing is he'll figure things out. He'll analyze stuff. My border collie is way into intelligent for her own good. She overanalyzes everything, which can be analysis to paralysis sometimes. So there's kind of a pro and a con there. The cool thing is teaching him complex ideas or concepts is going to be fairly easy, because if he's a studier, all we've got to do is put things in sequence, cue, response, reward enough times, and he's going to be like, this is awesome. But you'll also have to keep him stimulated with different concepts almost constantly. Once he learns the pattern, he's going to be like, all right, I get it. I'm smarter.
Yeah.
What do you want to do now?
Yeah, we kind of picked up on he seems pretty, I know we're biased, but he seems really smart.
Yeah. He exactly what you said. We got one of those games where you hide the treats in it and then he like moves it, the stuff, and gets the treats. He figures it out. Took him like 10 minutes to figure it out, and then now it's 30 seconds. So
Right. That's beautiful.
So
again, I love high intellect dogs. They're fun, but they're also a challenge. They're going to know what you want, and then they're going to say, you know what, I think I'm going to go that angle instead. So you all seem like very sharp and enthusiastic, encouraged people, so you're going to be just fine. Sometimes if I get a mismatch, you get this super high energy or just super intelligent dogs figuring out, and people are just like, no, that's not me. Usually dogs and owners kind of complement each other for the most part.
Yeah.
That's good. And you seem pretty laid back at this point. I don't know if it's because it's the end of the day or not.
Yeah. Well, he's already chewed us this morning, so he's kind of calm right now.
No, I was talking about you all. You all.
Oh no, yeah, we are. So he has his energy is like really high in the morning and the afternoon, but that's pretty much it. He doesn't have like spurts of energy.
Okay.
And when we notice it, we'll like, because it's normally right when we get up and he's got crazy, so we take him on a walk and that negates that energy, and then later in the day he kind of gets a little rowdy, and we take him on a walk at the end of the day too, and that calms that down.
What kind of feeding schedule do you have him
on? Really in the morning and in the afternoon, or
at night, or with dinner time.
Okay. Because sometimes in the morning, it's after you feed them, you'll get an energy spike just because of the food.
Yeah.
Or right before you feed them, you'll see this kind of, I need calories. And then they'll get kind of jacked up, and then they get a full belly and they're like, so sometimes it's around feeding, sometimes not. But it sounds like you're just getting the same time of day. But have you noticed that around the feeding at all? Or is it more just whenever?
I don't know. I haven't really noticed.
Well, because sometimes he'll eat and then we'll go, and then sometimes we'll go and then he'll eat, and so it's kind of around it, but I don't it may be influenced by it. I'm not sure.
Not a trigger one way or the other. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal though. Like he's still puppy.
Yeah, sure. And getting that energy out is fantastic.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is get kind of a baseline of what his day looks like, because there's moments that if we capitalize when his energy is high and he's hungry, next thing you know, he says, hey, what the heck can I do for that food? Those are
okay.
But I don't want a lethargic puppy that hasn't eaten yet. And even though you're giving him food, he can't think straight. He's just like, I'm just starving. So there's like there's a happy medium in there. And that's kind of what I want to do. And the other thing about training plans is, and basically what my training plan is taking your life and then integrating it throughout the day. So you don't have to change anything that you're doing. But if you optimize those moments when you think he's got high energy and he's hungry, oh, perfect. And it doesn't have to take a long time. It can literally be 2 or 3 minutes. And if you break that throughout the day, then it becomes something that's normal. It's not artificial. And that's one of the things, there's a misconception, I believe, in my experience with, well, sometimes he's training and sometimes he's not. Not really. Training is pretty much all the time. But it's not this rigid, I have to stay for 12 hours. No. It's just certain manners, which we're going to go through here in a minute, self-control exercises. Then we get into formal commands too. But so do you have when you let him out in the morning, is it a fenced-in yard? You guys in a house, apartment? Kind of give me the lay of the land.
We have a fenced-in backyard, and in the morning we'll normally let him go back there to use the bathroom, and then we'll go on a walk.
Okay, good. Any problems in the backyard at all?
I don't think so.
Digging, chewing anything? Pretty manageable?
He's chewing sticks, but nothing
sticks,
like.
Yeah. He just plays.
Okay.
He'll play and he'll get a stick and eat it, and he's happy. And then he'll go right to the gate when he's ready to come in.
Okay. Very nice. Sounds like it's very pleasant out there. That's excellent. And then out on your walks, if you could give me a glimpse of that, something that pops out in your mind. I wish he would do this. I wish he wouldn't do that. You mentioned on the dogs. He's kind of cautious of. Anything else come to mind there?
It's a little spazzy, little side to side.
He goes back and forth a lot because he's like, this is my walk and I'm just going to go wherever I want.
What type of equipment are you walking him on at this point?
He has a harness, and we've been using a shorter leash. We used to use the retractable, and now we've gone back to the regular leash.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
So do you have the no pull harness where it's in front, or is it the harness on the back?
We use the back.
It's on the back? Okay.
The clip is on the back, yeah.
All right. So you may already know this, but the harness was designed for husky type dogs to make it comfortable to pull for sled dogs, for Iditarod. So at this young age, I love it. No problem at all. Okay. Over time, though, we're going to shift to whatever equipment that you're comfortable with. The most important thing is we are definitely going to communicate through leash and collar when it's an unwanted behavior to redirect, and then the positive reinforcement. I know that was one of your main focuses, Sarah, that you wanted to kind of stay in that realm, correct? Okay. So the positive reinforcement is wonderful for teaching, and there's 5 basic motivators. Food, which is a big one. Is he a big time treat eater?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. And then we get into also physical praise. When you pet him, some dogs, I know it sounds weird, but you pet him and they're just kind of like, I don't really care about your touch. Does he get super wiggly? Actually, is he right there?
He's right here.
Yeah.
Put the camera on him real quick and pet him up a little bit.
Everybody.
Pick him up. I also want to see if he's kind of gnawing on you or anything like that. Hi, buddy.
He's nipping a little bit right now.
Puppy biting.
He might need to go out.
Okay.
Actually, he hasn't been out in a while. He probably does have to go out.
Yeah.
So is that what he does when he has to go out? Is he starts puppy biting?
He'll puppy bite and then he'll bark.
Okay. And when you let him out, does he then go to the bathroom every time, or is it only sometimes?
Pretty much every time.
Okay. Well, if you need to let him out, go ahead and do his
I'm going to take him out real quick. And you can keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay.
All right. He's a good size.
Go outside. Go potty. Go ahead.
Do you know what he weighs already?
Well, the first time they weighed him, it was 26, and then that was 3 weeks ago. They didn't weigh him the last time, which was a week ago. But I would say he went through a huge growth spurt this week, and I think he probably weighs 35 or 40 now. It's like
he is going to be a big husky.
Maybe he weighs 35.
Yeah,
now.
that's
okay.
That's still a good size husky. Did you see his parents?
No, but I have pictures of his parents. So his father's actually an unregistered Czechoslovakian wolf dog. And I think back in the day, like they bred German Shepherds and wolves and created this like AKC registered breed. Okay. So I found out that's his father. So I did the DNA test because I'm curious if I feel like he's mostly husky.
Right.
But if he does have a little bit of wolf in him, I want to know, because that means that matters with his diet and his training. Mm-hmm. And how we approach, him in general. And
so what have you found in regards to the diet, the difference if it is a wolf hybrid?
I've read that it needs to be more of a raw diet, but I don't know. I'd have to talk to his vet after to see. Okay. What do you know, or what do you think about it?
Well, as far as diet goes, there's not a huge difference to my research. Domestication has changed a lot of things. But as far as diet goes, they're still in that omnivore type direction. Even wolves are omnivores. But the main diet is meat protein. So if you've got a dog food extremely high in meat protein, I feed Origin, Origen. And there's an Origin, a Canna, From, and Merrick are kind of the top four if you're going to go into the pet in like a feeders. I do feed raw meat as well. I feed raw chicken, pork, and turkey. I stay away from the heavy beef or anything like that. But also weekly green beans are very healthy because dogs will eat a lot of greens. Nutrition specialist, her name is Donna Richardson, Richardson's Pet and Feed Store. She's a really good friend of mine. She is my food guru. So if it turns out that he is a wolf hybrid, I'm not as familiar with as much of that. I haven't done as much research around that, but I would give her number, and I'm actually going to call her and talk to her about it as well. If there is a difference, because I don't know of any, but that doesn't mean I know it. So
yeah, we'll find out when his DNA stuff comes back.
Yeah. How long ago did you send it?
It was about 2 weeks ago.
About 2 weeks ago? Does it take
What?
Does it take like a month or something?
Something like that.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then you also mentioned a training difference. What did you read as far as the training difference goes with the wolf hybrids?
Just that, they can be stubborn. And I think they're a little bit wary of people, which I've noticed. He's kind of afraid of kids, which is something that I want to get him really familiar with kids now when he's a puppy.
Okay.
And just,
Do you all have kids or no?
Mm-hmm.
No. Okay. Planning on kids?
It'll happen someday.
Okay. Well, a better question. Are you all married?
Yeah.
Okay. That answers my other question. Maybe. Anyway, so with the training, the wolves definitely are a little bit more aloof, a little bit more standoffish. That's why typically you won't see them, much like coyotes. So the other thing is what I then call that is when a dog sees something they're unfamiliar with, and you get that cautious nature. I call it clown syndrome for this reason. First time when we're kids, we see a clown. I'm like, what in the heck is that? Kind of unsure, kind of unfamiliar. And then I remember my mom, when I'm trying to hide behind her, pulling me out next to her and going, look, they're juggling, they're 17 in the car, they fall over all the time, they're kind of goofy. And I remember kind of starting to laugh, like, oh, they are kind of goofy. And that helped me relax a little bit. Well, that's what young dogs see. They see clowns. So when it's unfamiliar, and it sounds like that's what he's doing, he says, my spidey sense is going off. Unsure what that is. I'm going to check it out until mom or dad say, hey, look, this is non-threatening. And the best way to do that is keep him level with you on leash and collar. Try not to let him hide behind you, but I'm also not going to shove him in the middle of it either. So there's a happy medium there where he can't use total flight mentality, but at the same time, I don't want to add so much pressure that he can't handle it.
Okay.
When you're dealing with distractions, kind of getting into a deeper subject, but when you're dealing with any type of caution, there's the distraction. What does a distraction look like? How complex is it? Is it one person or three, for example? Distance plays a huge factor. I don't want to close that distance too much to where he says, I can't handle this. And duration, how long is he sitting in that distraction? And so we can basically play around with those three things to build up his confidence, especially over the kids. And it depends on if it's one kid or 3 kids or 10 kids. So we can play with that idea. Also, big kids, little kids. Dogs, you may already know this, but they see in blues and yellows. So when they see kids are different ethnicity, for example, or different hair, like you have beautiful blonde hair, you've got a great head of hair, dude. I got none. So great beard, by the way. He'd be used to that. But anything outside of template, if an older person has a walker or walking with a limp or somebody that has a physical or mental handicap, when any time there's something out of U2, which is his template, which is safe, that's a clown. And the moment you put him in those situations, then he says, oh yeah, there's 17 in a car. Look at that. They're cool. Oh my God, they got treats. Woohoo. And so all of that anxiety, true definition, fear of the unknown, starts to lower. Does that make sense? Sorry, a little tangent there. But that'll be something that we can definitely work on. From there, so it sounds like you've got a good daily regimen. How's the housebreaking going overall?
Really well, actually.
Yeah.
He's only pooped in the house once, and that was kind of our fault because we didn't take him out before we put him in the crate for a little bit. But and that was when we first got him.
And he just stopped peeing in the house. Like he did this morning, but it's because
he peed a tiny bit, then he ran outside and finished off.
Yeah,
so.
like he tells us when he has to go out. Basically, like he knows that's where he needs to go.
Excellent. With that summer heat, sometimes dogs will overdrink, and they just get all of a sudden that water hits them, and they're just like, oh my God. So do you have a crate for him? Is he loose in the house at night? What does that look like?
We were crating him, and then the past few nights we've been trying him, like, door to his crate's open if he wants to go in there, but he's been really good.
He sleeps on the floor.
Sleeping through the night, sleeping on the bathroom floor because of the tile, and then.
But before then, he took himself to the crate at night. He's like, all right, I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
That's excellent. So housebreaking is all based on schedule. So crate schedule. Are you guys working from home right now? All right, so that's perfect. But when you do go back to work, or if you leave, have you been crating him at this point? No, he's just been loose still.
Oh wait, no. When we leave.
You leave, yeah.
Well, really, honestly, like one of us is always here usually, or we'll take him with us. I left him in the crate a couple of times, and he did okay, but I want to work on that too.
Okay.
Because I work from home, and so I won't be going back. But he does need to. He does need to learn how to stay. I don't want him to cry. I don't want him to hate it.
Right.
It breaks my heart.
So one thing that I did yesterday with a little boxer pup, they were having a big issue with him because he's not crated a whole lot. So we created a crate game, basically. And we were just taking treats and tossing them in there, and he's going in there and eating a treat. I'm not big on feeding my dog a whole meal in the crate, but I will put their food bowl in there, let them eat a little bit of food, toys, bones, something like that. Not toys that they can de-stuff or anything like that, but a good hard rubber toy or a nylabone or a real bone or an antler or something like that. But if every day you just start playing this, hey, get in your crate, but I don't even shut the door. I just let him get in there. And it sounds like he's kind of chilling in there anyway, which is great.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, even while I'm home, I'll go ahead and shut the door, lock it, go do something for a little bit, maybe get a shower, come back, and then let him out. And something that'll hopefully ease your heart a little bit, Sarah, about the crate is dogs don't have a concept of time. They know what time of day it is because of routine, but they don't know 20 minutes versus 6 hours. And here's the old school joke. If you put your dog and your spouse in the closet for 20 minutes, when you come and open the closet, who's happy to see you? Only the dog's tail's wagging. So he does what helps my heart a little bit is I realize even though he's in there for a couple hours, he's not counting minutes. And they did video surveillance of an average dog. There was 1,000 dogs. And within 20 minutes, they go to sleep. They sleep 4 hours. They wake up for 20 minutes and they go back to sleep. And that 20 minutes over 8 hours, twice, they can do some real damage. Use the bathroom all over the house, etc. Or they wake up in the crate, do a couple spins, chew on a bone, and go back to sleep. That's a couple things that help me kind of get over my, I don't want to be a crate.
Yeah.
But
he might safer.
What's that?
It's safer for him there.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Most people don't understand. It's beautiful. Yeah. So crate schedule, food schedule, water schedule, bathroom schedule. Sounds like you're on track there. One other thing that I like to do in the house, it doesn't sound like you may need this, but I leave a light leash on him, just let him drag it around as long as I'm there and I have supervision. So that way, if he starts to pee on the floor, I can grab that leash and whisk him outside.
Okay.
The other reason I use it is getting into one of the 5 manners that I teach. One is composure, where he was chewing on you a second. I know that might be his indicator, but we might want to change that.
Yeah, we'll change that.
So if he had a light leash on, as soon as he comes up and starts grabbing my hand, I'm going to pull him away from my hand. You're going to read online saying no bite, quit, stop, things like that. I try not to say anything because I don't want him to associate me with negativity. And I don't want to get into this, no, bite, quit it. That's getting a little bit too dominant, but I do want to basically redirect him. Once I hold him off my hand and he makes a decision to say, all right, I'm not going to bite your hand anymore, that's when a treat appears. That's when a toy appears. Sometimes you'll see if a puppy's chewing on you and somebody says, well, just give him a toy. Uh-oh. Now he learned, I chew on you, I get a toy. I'll chew on you all day long. So it's not a trade, it's a reward. He's got to stop the behavior. And the best way to do it right now at this young age is just hold him away from until he stops, and then the reward comes. Does that make sense?
Negative reinforcement.
Yep. And so over time, he really will step back and just say, never mind. I don't want to chew on you anymore. And what the cutest thing is he'll probably come up and start sitting next to you going, hey, can I get my reward? And if that happens, it pops in all day long. So positive reinforcement, very, very important. Negative reinforcement, negative punishment. You're very familiar with those, Sarah? All right. In your definition, what do those two things mean to you? Negative reinforcement, negative punishment.
Negative reinforcement, when there's a lack of this, when there is a stimulus and that stimulus is taken away, it's a negative stimulus, and he reacts in a positive way, and then it's a reinforcement, a negative reinforcement.
Yeah, you take the pressure off, basically.
Right. It's like an alarm clock. Like if you hear the alarm clock going off, you hit the button and the sound goes away. So that's reinforcing that what you had before, which was silence, and it's a positive thing. Negative punishment is positive punishment would be adding a stimulus to punish something, to physically, I don't know.
Adding pressure.
And then negative would be taking something away. So maybe like putting him in timeout or something like that.
Yes,
taken away from.
I'll tell you the easiest way you can say that is withholding a treat.
Withholding a treat?
Yeah, because you're withholding something that he wants.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one of the tricky parts when you talk about positive reinforcement only. There is negative punishment in there. Because if he doesn't do what you want him to do, you withhold a treat. Does that make sense? Until he does it, like a sit. It's one of the most fun parts about a puppy is getting him to sit and waiting for him to do it. And then he says, how do I get that? That's a negative because he's not getting his positive reinforcement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. And then as far as positive punishment goes, you're applying some sort of pressure, which is usually a leash correction in most situations in standard dog training, which I'm versed in everything across the board. I will tell you one of the coolest things, coolest trainers that I've studied about positive reinforcement only and then the negative punishment is a woman named Jean Donaldson. She's got a series, a 24 lecture series on dog training. It's called Dog Training 101 on the Great Courses. I don't know if you've ever seen the Great Courses before. But she does a wonderful job of explaining. It's very scientific, very detailed. I think you would kind of get excited about that too. But very, very good wealth of information. That's one person I've studied. My mentor does teach me how to use leash redirections as well. So I'm versed there if we need to get to that. We may not. We may find with him, he's so compliant, he just says, whatever you want me to do. But when it comes to distractions, which is the next of the manners. So composure with me means I want him on a loose leash. I don't want him to, not yet, but I don't want him to pull me all over the place. Right now, let him be a puppy. Just pull me all over.
Yeah.
I want him to eventually paw, jump. Now, right now, I don't like to bleed. So I will address that. Redirection. Barking at you. I noticed he was barking at you a minute ago. A little bit of puppy barking, I get it. But when it feels like to me, he's saying, hey, 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 that's a little much. So most of the time I will start redirecting. And most Huskies, as you already experienced, are pretty vocal. They'll tell you what they're thinking.
Yeah. Sometimes it almost sounds like they're telling you water or food.
Right. I want food. I want water. I want water. I like that. The other thing real quickly about if he chews on you at this point, the other reason I don't try to say anything is because otherwise I become a big giant squeaky toy. Squeak, put it here. Squeaky's like, oh, I know how to make you squeak. This is awesome. So just kind of think about that as you're redirecting him, trying not to say anything. I will talk to him with positive reinforcement, and I chat with my dogs all day long. If they start telling people what I tell them, I'm in trouble. But the idea is you can have conversations with him, but not when you're trying to redirect them away from your arm, for example. The second of the manners is item control. Item control is anything that you have not physically handed to him or put in his food bowl. So shoes, socks, hats, shirts, paper towels, garbage cans, kids' toys, absolutely anything that you put in front of him. Again, I'm going to redirect him away from that item. And then when he does redirect and say, I don't want that, then positive reinforcement kicks in. That's when I'll hand him a toy, but don't trade it, because otherwise I grab a shoe, I get a toy. Fun. He's got to leave that shoe alone, then he gets a toy.
Right.
Again, that leash redirection comes into play.
Right.
That way he's not destroying your house. But that sounds like it's going pretty well overall.
He hasn't chewed anything up.
Yay! He is not all husky. I'm just saying.
It's weird.
They're typically mischievous. From there, the visitor control. I'm going to give you a brief synopsis of this. We talked a little bit about if he's uncomfortable. But in general, he's not allowed to initiate contact with visitors. Visitors come to him. And then as a visitor pets him, we don't want any pawing, jumping, puppy biting, excessively licking or barking. When the visitor backs away, my Labrador, he loved, when he was young, to follow people. He said, hey, where are you going? Like, dude, calm down. So you're not allowed to initiate contact with visitors. Visitors are allowed to initiate contact with you as long as you don't get too carried away. When the visit's over, visit's over. So that way he's not dragging you after the person that he sees.
Yeah.
Animal control. Other dogs in general, I don't care if you look at them, but don't bolt towards them. I don't want you dragging me down halfway down the street after the dog. Same with squirrels, chipmunks, rabbits, raccoons, and cats. Now, there are exceptions. If I tell him go play with another dog, go play. If he's in the backyard training a squirrel, do it. I have a privacy fence. My lab loves to run the fence, and the squirrels mess with him. It's hilarious. Be a dog, for God's sakes. But I don't want his pound body taking me for a ride every time he sees a squirrel. So you get that happening. Okay. And then we get into threshold control. Front door, back door, car door, gate to the fence. I don't want him running through any open threshold without my permission. Now, a lot of times people will tell me, Dave, I just want my dog to come when I call. So if he gets out, he'll come back to me. Here's what I will tell you. Once you have an escaped convict, he gone. He's not coming back. So what we do is we basically prematurely will teach him, don't go through that door until we tell you it's all right. Now, your fenced-in backyard, that you may not care about that door. I don't care about my back door. But my front door, for sure. My gate to the fence, for sure. They can't go through there until we give them permission. A grooming control, getting him to stand broadside in front of you while you brush him, clean his ears, brush his teeth, clip his toenails, give him a bath, especially with the white fur. You have to wipe some. And because he's going to be a decent-sized boy, I want to make sure that I can manipulate his body any way that I want within reason, and he's going to be okay with it. You don't have to love it, just be okay. Traveling on a loose leash, that looks like 3 different things. Right now, my verbiage is let's go. That just means go from with me in this direction. I don't care if you're on my right, my left, or anything like that. A walk command for me means he's got to be on my left-hand side, but that's about 5-foot leash, nice and slacked. So he's relaxed and groovy and can use the bathroom, but he's not all over the place. Right now, let him be all over the place, man. I'm a big proponent of let him be a puppy. Just don't be in my house. Don't tear up my house. Don't make me bleed. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Then getting into formal commands, having him heel in a neck to leg position, sit the first time you ask, lie down, stay, and then the big one that everybody wants, come when I go home. Once we get those, what you guys might really have interest in is the Canine Good Citizen Award. It's American Kennel Club's CGC Award. I'm an evaluator for that. So basically we can get him, it means he's a good public citizen. And depending on his temperament, depending on if he really likes people, and depending on your interest, if you wanted to get into therapy dog training or something like that, I could help you with that as well. So agility training, you name it. I've been doing this for 17 years. And so I've got
Awesome.
everything, scent detection, whatever.
Okay.
Cool.
Questions on anything that we would work on, or anything outside of that you might have a priority on?
I pretty much touched
Yeah,
everything. Yeah.
All sounds good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Training plan wise, he's a youngster. So what I would want to do is start in about 2 weeks to 3 weeks.
Okay.
When I first come out, I'll kind of get a lay of the land, see how things are going. We're going to get right into those 5 manners. Already composure with you guys, item control, a little bit of visitor control, especially when I come over, especially with my different hat. He might be like, that's a clown. Uh-oh. We'll start getting into a little bit of threshold control and traveling on a leash. Then I'll take a look at where you are with your formal commands. You already mentioned he's doing some sit and some down and some stay and a little bit of come recall, which is fantastic. If you've already started teaching that, then I can show you the next phase on how to start reinforcing it. And the main thing is getting his brain off all the distractions first. And once we get that tunnel vision, then reinforcing those commands is 1,000 times easier. All of a sudden they remember what they learned inside. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you pretty much repeated a lot of the conversations we had about what we want to learn. So
good.
Because when they took my mom's dog to training, I went with them, and it was just like the trainer's dog was this little mindless little thing that just sat there and just stared at the owner like the entire time, no personality. And I was like, I do not want that. Like a little dog robot without. I live for master, and that's it.
Yeah.
Sure. And so that's one of I'm going to go a little outside of the box, but I've been a yogi for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. I've trained in martial arts, Tai Chi. I'm all about flow. Mm-hmm. So that's the training style that I've adopted over the years from all the people that I've studied underneath, is just like I mentioned, your daily life, you just kind of flow in and out of training. And the more that we see his personality, we use it to our advantage. We think, well, he really enjoys this. Thank God, let's use that. But at the same time, there has to be that hard stop every once in a while of, even though you would like to do this, that's not an option. So, do you have some treats with you there?
I can grab some.
Yeah.
Will you grab some and put the camera on him? If you don't mind, just kind of give me an idea where you are with your sit and down.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Just doing a couple commands.
Come here, bud. He likes the blue buffalo one the most. He knows you're getting treats. He's like, come here, bud.
Chill down. Right, can you see?
Yep, got him.
Sit. He sits anyways.
All right, that's perfect. Love it. Little paw action.
Down.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Will he stay for you a little bit?
A little bit. Stay.
Good.
Right, come here.
Good. Oh, wow. He sat there too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well done.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah, that's excellent. So what you guys have done, which is impressive, is you've done the first stage in training. And so there's 3 major stages. The stages are teaching, which you've done, and then reinforcing means I go through the commands without a treat right in front of him. The treat comes after he complies to the command. And then distraction proofing. Do what I taught you without a magic treat in front of you, no matter what's going on around you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing that I was taught was to reverse the process. What I mean by that is, first, get your brain off of all those distractions. Then the teaching and reinforcement is so much easier because you do it in a low distraction environment like you're doing. And then by the time you put it in that proper order, it happens really quickly. So instead of do the command to keep your mind off the distraction, leave the distraction alone first, and then do the command. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the biggest separations that I think I can offer you that I've been taught. And it really just makes it to where, you're more in that flow state versus that force state, if that makes sense.
Yeah. How do we get him off the distraction?
So that's where the leash comes in.
Okay.
So basically, the main thing I'm going to teach you is leash redirection. So if he is going north, arbitrary direction, after a dog, a cat, a squirrel, kid, whatever, I'm going south. So and if he's chewing on my arm here, he's going west, I'm going east with the leash. I'm redirecting his energy constantly. And so what happens is he's in that flow state, but every time he keeps coming that direction, I'm making it turn back around. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's got to go somewhere. Well, here's where I want it to go, to me. I call it my ego pop. I'm the center of the universe. So the more you redirect all of that energy, the more he really is focused on you and saying, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? How are we going to get there? But right now, the dog or the kid or whatever, it might be of higher value. We've got to lower that value. How you lower that value is to keep redirecting until he says, that's not as much fun. And when he turns back at you and you're waiting with a treat or a pet, boom, he's going to, next thing you know, he says, I'd much rather be with you. That doesn't have as much value. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Good. And that's the hard part about training because it's just repetition, repetition, repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And treats in the pocket at all times.
For now. And here's, I kind of jumped ship earlier because we had to take a bathroom break, or he did, not me. So positive reinforcement, there's 5 of them. There are treats. I like treats. But he's receptive to petting. I saw that. He's receptive to praise. You said you're a good boy. And he was like, oh, yes, I am. Toys. I try to find a favorite toy. My little border collie will do absolutely anything for a toy.
Yeah.
And she loves food too. The 5th thing is removal of pressure. That's also a reward. So when he's holding a downstay, for example, and then you release him, that's release of pressure. That's a reward in itself. So treats are important, but I am not solely dependent on treats.
Okay.
To utilize all of these. I want to be like a Las Vegas slot machine. He's looking at me going, I don't know what I'm going to get, but I'll pull the darn thing out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yes, they are really important, especially for teaching. Don't get me wrong. I do use a lot of treats, but I want to wean away from them and use those other things too.
Okay.
Right.
That makes sense.
Questions on anything?
I don't think so.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, from there, the next step, whenever you all are ready, we would set up an in-home lesson, or what I call myself the driveway trainer now with COVID.
Okay.
However you all are comfortable.
That's fine.
I will wear a mask, you name it. But the main thing is the in-home lessons are $100 plus tax.
Okay.
You're going to need at least 4. You guys are super involved. You're working at home. You're around him all the time. I think I can give you enough information in 4 lessons to get the base of training rolling. The lessons are usually about every week and a half to 2 weeks apart. Just depends on where it falls in your schedule and mine. I usually offer a dog venture, but I think in this situation, because you guys are so involved, I think you're going to be fine. You won't need me. Basically, that means I take him for about an hour, do some work, and then bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you guys are going to be around him and involved enough. You could probably get this done on your own, but we may need to talk about that in the future.
Okay.
If you wanted to work up towards the CGC, that might be an extra lesson or 2 for that true certification, but we can talk about that as we're rolling.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
Any questions on kind of the training plan, cost, anything like that?
I don't think so.
No.
Cool. Well, I'm going to stop this here and then